Hello everyone, and welcome to the brand new edition of The Current, a news magazine show brought to you by the seniors at South Elgin High School's Beacon Academy. I'm Sean Archer-Kowili.
And I'm Michaela Wilson, and while being amongst this COVID-19 pandemic, our whole production is conducted using the correct safety precautions, either filmed at home or from a distance.
During this pandemic, it is so important for us to stay safe during these times, so we're making sure we do our part to prevent the spread.
With that being said, we have so much in store for you today, so let's check it out. Coming up, Bretland talks about how gaming brings us together even though we may be stuck at home.
Later on, our very own Michaela brings us a tasty treat to bake for the holidays.
And James closes it off by taking a look at a viral school project.
All of this and more are coming up, but first, have you ever heard of this song?
It rings a bell, but Bianca actually has more to tell us about this 1970s classic hit.
This is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. Released in 1977 from their 11th studio album Rumors, Dreams has sold over 1 million copies and is Fleetwood Mac's only #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But why are we talking about a 43-year-old song now? Well, Dreams has gained a newfound popularity thanks to this TikTok. This TikTok, posted by Nathan Apodaca, has received 70 million views, over 11 million likes, and has helped this iconic song have its biggest week ever on streaming platforms. In early October, Dreams received over 16 million streams and re-entered Billboard's top 10. Getting national attention, there have been nothing but positive responses to this TikTok. Some people have recreated their own versions of it, and even members of Fleetwood Mac joined in. Above all, people love the simple video for its good vibes, which is something that we all need right now, especially as people are struggling through the current pandemic. For The Current, I'm Bianca Kira.
I gotta say, it's really cool to see songs of the past make a comeback.
It really can show how powerful social media can be. Actually, on the topic of technology, others have found a great way to communicate during this pandemic.
That reminds me, I think it's time for some 10-second trivia.
Which game has received over 13 billion views in the month of October? A. Call of Duty Cold War, B. Fortnite, C. Among Us, and D. NBA 2K21.
The correct answer is C. Among Us.
The gaming sensation Among Us has over 14 billion views on TikTok and almost 4 billion views on YouTube in September alone.
Bretland has more to tell us about this viral video game.
I know that it's been difficult trying to find ways to really connect with friends and family while still remaining distant and being safe during this pandemic. However, the video game Among Us really has found a way to bring us all together while still being in our own homes.
This game has been taking over quarantine by storm. With over 217 million downloads and counting, Among Us has taken over streaming platforms while also having hours of gameplay uploaded onto YouTube. The object of this social deduction game is to complete tasks while figuring out who is the imposter among the group. Today I talked to 3 people who have taken part in this Among Us hype.
I would describe the game Among Us as very fun and easy to play, and it's very user-friendly.
You're able to play with like 10 people, and it's a fun multiplayer game. So you can always do different things, have fun. You can even like switch up the settings and the game modes.
And it's somewhat competitive at the same time, and I think it tests your limits because you're like in it, but you want to do like your own tasks and stuff like that, but you still like learning to be cooperative with like your teammates.
Among Us allows us to interact with other people while still having fun. I also asked my interviewees more about how they're keeping in touch with their friends while still remaining socially distant.
I kept in touch with my friends during quarantine by going on Discord with them and playing Minecraft and using interactive games such as Among Us to keep in touch with them.
So we play games together all the time. So that's mostly what we do to stay in touch while distance learning and staying distance.
In touch with my friends, we mostly FaceTime, or we kind of do those like same things, like we watch the same shows or the same movies, something like that, just so we know that like if we need to talk, we have something in common, so it's not like awkward.
While it may seem difficult to connect with one another, finding different ways to do it from the safety of our own homes is really the most important thing to do during this pandemic.
Who knew that video games would bring people together during this time?
Not only have video games given people a chance to come together, but so have sports. Savannah brings us the latest on athletics and how people are slowly making their way back onto the field.
Let's check it out.
Since COVID-19 started, a lot has changed for millions of people worldwide. To help bring a sense of normalcy back, many sports organizations have started to play again with new guidelines. Let's take a look at how Elgin Impact is doing just that.
Sure, everyone's safe. My team is always wearing masks. We require masks. Social distancing if we're not wearing masks. And a lot of protocol with sanitizing the equipment, sanitizing our hands, and making sure that we're all keeping our health as our #1 priority and being safe. Games are very different now because we couldn't do tournaments for the fall. In the summer, we were able to finish the tournament season, so we had to adjust to planning a league and putting it together and doing individual games here and there or double headers instead of full tournaments so that we could lessen the amount of exposure. It has impacted our season a lot because before we didn't have to wear masks and social distance or sanitize all the equipment. Now we have so much protocol of like wearing masks all the time, staying 6 feet apart, sanitizing all the equipment in between drills and during games. You know, each team has their own set of game balls that you use so that no one is coming in contact with other people, and it's really hard because now we have so much protocol, but now I'm used to it, so.
COVID-19 has changed the way that we live our lives, but at least we can still enjoy playing and watching sports. This is Savannah Croft for The Current.
Honestly, I'm really glad people are finding ways to stay active during these times. It really gets a kick out of me. That was really bad.
Anyway, not only is it important to stay physically healthy, but it's also important to keep your mind active as well.
There are so many different things to learn about, and your town might have some hidden history to it. I had the opportunity to visit a small cobblestone home in Elgin that holds a deeper story.
The Elgin area is known for its unique history, such as the Elgin Watchtower and its history of watches. But behind me is one of few places, one of 6 in fact, of the suburb's unique history.
Standing at 302 West Chicago Street is the Nancy Kimball Cobblestone House, built in 1846 for the woman the house was named after. At first, you may think this is just an average house of the past, but in reality, the building has a much deeper history than what meets the eye.
This particular cobblestone house is very important to Elgin because it ties back to one of the founding families of Elgin. We call this the Nancy Kimball House because this is the house that ultimately Joseph Kimball's widow lived in for the last 40 years of her life, and she lived to be around 100 or 101 years old. A couple of their adult children and much of their extended family came to Elgin, and the 2 boys went on to be successful businessmen in Elgin, and they built this house for their mother.
The technique of using cobblestone also wasn't very common in the past.
If you could see the walls downstairs, they're probably 16 or so inches thick, just layer upon layer upon layer of cobblestone, so they are very, very sturdy. We think this is the oldest remaining house in Elgin, and there are only 6 cobblestones left in Elgin. This house should mean something to Elginites.
On top of its history and building technique, the house contains beautiful renovations made by multiple members of the Elgin community. All of it wasn't made out of the blue, though. Everything you see here is based on the house's original design.
A lot of the elements that you see on the house and the doors and windows are based off of photos that we have of the original house. Mahogany door that's painted maroon with side lights and a transom above, that's all based off of the original drawings. The 2/2 windows are also based off of all the original stuff. So we were able to pick very important, very visual elements of the house and make sure that they're done correctly, which is very important.
The Cobblestone House is planned to release next year and is currently under development and still taking donations. If you'd like to donate, please check out the Elgin History Museum's website. With The Current, I'm Sean Archer Kawili.
Wow, it just shows that you can find history in just about anything. Maybe I'll go digging for fossils in my backyard.
Anyways, with the holiday season coming up, a lot of tasty treats are making a grand return.
To prepare for the holiday season, let's check out one of my personal favorite desserts. With Halloween coming to an end and Thanksgiving being just around the corner, today we're going to learn how to make some pumpkin pie for your Thanksgiving dinner. To begin, you're going to have to preheat your oven to 425 degrees, and then you are going to grab a small mixing bowl to combine your dry ingredients. So to begin, you're going to need 3/4 cup of white sugar. After that, you're going to take a ½ teaspoon of salt, then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a ½ teaspoon of ginger, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. So after we're done combining the dry ingredients, I am going to put 2 eggs into a large mixing bowl, and I am going to beat these eggs until they are a light yellow. Now that we're done with our egg mixture, you're going to want to take a 15-ounce can of pure pumpkin. Now you want to make sure that there's nothing else in it but pumpkin. It has to say 100% pumpkin on it. So now we're just going to add that into our eggs. Now that our filling is all smoothed out, we're going to take our dry ingredients and we're going to add this in. You are next going to take a 12-ounce of evaporated milk. Now before you open this, you're going to have to shake it. But now we're just going to add this to the mix. So next you're going to grab your pie crust. Now you could either make it yourself, you could grab a flaky crust. I got a pre-made graham cracker crust. So if you are going to use a graham cracker crust, you got to put it in a pie plate because it is going to be in the oven for an hour and you don't want it to burn. So now we're going to take our scraper and our filling and we are going to pour it into our pie crust. Okay, so now that your filling is in your pie crust, you are going to put this in your 450-degree oven for 15 minutes. And then after that, you are going to reduce your oven to 350 degrees and bake that for 40 minutes. Okay, so now that our pie is done, we're gonna take it out of the oven. Now when you take it out of the oven, it will be a little bit runny, but that's because it has to sit. So when you take it out of the oven, you're gonna let it cool for 2 hours so it can get down to room temperature. Put it on the cooling rack, and as you can see, it's a little wet still, but now it just has to sit. And I'll see you guys in 2 hours. Okay, so I just cut a piece of my pumpkin pie. You can either put this with Ready Whip or Cool Whip. So let's give it a try. I kind of already ate half of the piece because it was so good, so. This is definitely amazing. This pie was to die for. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank God we're living. I hope you enjoy making this at your Thanksgiving dinners. And for The Current, I'm Michaela Wilson.
Oh man, I cannot wait to try out this recipe for myself. Making food at home really makes a difference, you know?
Trust me, once you try out this pumpkin pie recipe, you will not want to go back to store-bought pie again. But speaking of making things, a group of students on TikTok went viral for creating something you wouldn't believe.
James brings us the latest on this unusual story.
If you're one of the millions of people who have scrolled through TikTok, one of the most popular social media platforms, there's a chance that you have seen videos of a group of students transforming a bus into a tiny home. Over the past year at the Keller Center of Advanced Learning in Fort Worth, Texas, better known as KCAL, Mr. Q has been leading a project with a team of volunteer students that have been doing just that, dubbed the KCAL Schoolie.
About 2 years ago, we had a bus that was donated to our campus by the local busing company. And so I pitched the idea to some of my students at the time, and a number of kids jumped in and said, yeah, I want to just be a part of this.
The idea of turning a school bus into a tiny home is just something that I haven't really ever heard of. And so I thought it would be really cool to get this hands-on experience in a career field that I was interested in.
During the first few days of the project, Hannah Ongmangchi, a student a part of the KCAL Schoolie team, created a TikTok account dedicated to covering the project that has gotten viral and has now gained over 2.5 million followers and over a combined total of 30 million likes on their posts.
As soon as I posted that second day that we worked on it, like the likes, it was blowing up and my phone was going crazy.
It allows these kids to show off what they're doing, inspire others, and show that even in something really challenging, and this is truly really challenging to do, you can have just utter joy in the learning process and building something.
It's just surreal. Like, you see other people go viral, but you don't think it can happen to you. Like, and for like that bus project, it's really cool. So I was like really happy that a lot of people were very interested.
Despite gaining popularity on social media, Mr. Q says that to him, it all doesn't really matter. Both as a teacher and a mentor, he's passionate about influencing and impacting his students in a positive way.
They show up consistently, like all the time, to volunteer their heart to create something with the idea that we would give it away, that it would be for somebody who needs it. And that's a really cool thing to see.
I always joke about how he's kind of like a dad or like a father figure.
He does care about you and like your personal life and how you are doing mentally, physically, everything. So it's really nice. Like, I just see him as a great mentor and like father figure almost. It's really nice.
It's something that like you don't really get a lot from teachers.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see how much he cares.
Mr. Q and the K-Cal Schoolie work team are continuing to safely work on the bus and hopes to complete the project by the end of the school year. Reporting for The Current, I'm James Villarraza.
Okay, I will never see a school bus in the same way ever again. It's really cool to see how they were able to share that with the rest of the world.
After all, it is a time of sharing.
It truly is. With that being said, I'm Sean Archer Kawili.
And I'm Michaela Wilson, and from all of us here at The Current, happy holidays.